When you still have most of your faculties and can kind of give your wishes, this is the time to make those decisions. When you still have
music
yes.
brings out memories and so
Yes.
on. It's the same work with art. When you have dementia, you have very little memory going on a day-to-day basis, and that could spark. My memory works throughout the year.
You're not going to not be a caregiver if you decide that your loved one needs to live in a community, and your loved one might actually thrive a little bit because they're going to get, even more services and support, and you as a caregiver probably will thrive too because you get a little bit of your life back. You really encourage families, start getting your ducks in a row now. Just because someone has a diagnosis of dementia doesn't mean they still don't like high cultural art.
Welcome to the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. I'm Larry Wagner, and I've spent 30 years working with seniors where I was a certified senior advisor, and the last 15 years in the home buying industry as a certified senior transition specialist, where I specialize in dealing with seniors going through a transition in their lives. This podcast is for seniors, those with seniors they love, and people who work in the senior community. In each episode, we bring on a guest who works to improve the lives of seniors. This podcast is your key to unlocking senior resources.
Today we're here with Lauren Vlachos from the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
So before we talk about, obviously you're dealing with seniors.
Correct.
That's sort of what seems understood. But first question I have is, how did you get to work for the Alzheimer's Disease Resource Center? I got it right.
It's kind of a long and winding road, but the short version
About 30
is
seconds. Go ahead.
I was a Peace Corps volunteer.
Oh, wow.
And I spent almost 3 years in West Africa and realized that I wanted to work in nonprofit. And so when I returned to America, I first started working for the Boy Scouts of America. And I worked for them for over 18 years. And then I decided I wanted to make a shift. I had family who were impacted by Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. And so when I was looking for my new role, this organization was looking for a new CEO.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
You mentioned West Africa. My son's in West Africa right now.
Oh, where?
Is that Victoria Falls? Is that the right falls?
Well, that's Kenya.
Oh, that's Kenya. Oh,
Yeah,
no, I
so
thought it went away to the West Coast. Okay, well, anyway, he was in South Africa. And
Amazing.
he's just travels the world. He works with me,
That's
but
wonderful.
they're all remote, so people can work anywhere today.
Definitely.
Yeah, which is very cool.
I agree.
So interesting, but you're doing something much more impactful. But you were there.
It was very impactful,
Yes.
very humbling. You
Good.
kind of learn what's important in
Right.
life.
I explained to people the poor in America don't know what poor is.
Correct. I
Yeah.
agree, Larry.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So with that said, let's talk about your employer, where you work. I assume this is a nonprofit.
Correct.
Yeah.
We are a local nonprofit. We serve families here on Long Island, and we have been around since 1983.
Oh, wow.
And we're a little bit different from some of the other Alzheimer's organizations in that we are focused more on providing support and resources for caregivers, not necessarily looking for a cure for the disease.
I mentioned to you earlier how my grandmother had this. I'm going to get to that in a moment or a little later. But it was 10 years she lived with us or my aunt in Maryland, and they showed her back and forth every 3 months. And it was very heavy.
Challenging, correct?
Very challenging.
Yes.
Actually, she was physically very heavy. I didn't mean that, but that's true too. Yeah, we did both families did very well. I'm not sure how well that would play today. I think people are a little bit more selfish than they were in the 70s.
Well, I think it's challenging. It's a little bit like, maybe your loved one gets a diagnosis and you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
It's almost, you don't necessarily start learning about certain diseases or pathologies unless you're impacted by them.
Yeah.
And so now your loved one gets a diagnosis and it's a little bit like, what now? Like, what do I do? Yes. And so families and caregivers, one of the best things they can do is actually reach out to us because they don't need to get onto Google and start trying to understand. We do a lot of education. So we'll educate them actually about the disease. And I think one of the most important thing, Larry, for your audience to know is that it's really dementia is this umbrella term. Very much so, like the word cancer.
Yeah.
And then underneath dementia, you do have those different forms like Alzheimer's disease, Lewy body dementia, frontal temporal dementia, vascular dementia, which can happen from mini strokes.
Right.
And then even Parkinson's is actually a form of dementia.
Really?
Yes. And so the word dementia is just really means like you're having problems with your brain. There's some neurocognitive degenerative diseases that are happening within the brain.
I'm glad you had that little, made these comments, because again, we lived with an off family. My grandmother for 20 years. My mother had Lewy body dementia, which was just horrible.
Yes.
3 years of hell. And but my grandmother had, I mentioned to you earlier, they called it a series of mini strokes.
Yes.
And then later they said it was Alzheimer's. Then they said it was dementia, and the words seem to get used, thrown out interchangeably.
Correct.
It's not because they're necessarily interchangeable, it's because they're not understood.
Correct.
And so I'm good. So there's an umbrella term,
Dementia,
and then the others fall underneath.
Correct. And then the type of dementia that you're being impacted by are those other names like Alzheimer's, Lewy bodies.
Right. Now, Alzheimer's is the most common
Correct.
word I hear, and it's probably the most common diagnosis.
Correct.
What is Alzheimer's specifically versus Lewy bodies are unto itself? I've discussed on the show numerous times because of my mother. But how does Alzheimer differ from other forms? Like you mentioned, Parkinson's. We know Parkinson's seems to be very physical.
Yes.
Alzheimer's is more mental, memory.
So really it's about so a lot of these pathologies are about plaques and proteins, just like where you could have plaques or proteins on your heart, and it creates this buildup. It's the same thing that's happening in our brain, and the different forms of dementia are just impacted where is the plaque building up in your brain. So with Alzheimer's, it's often building up in the hippocampus, kind of in the back part of your brain. With Lewy bodies disease, it's forming more toward the front.
Okay.
And the same with frontal dementia as well. And so that's why the symptoms of these diseases will be a little different. Sometimes with Lewy body, it might not be memory. It might be hallucinations, marked personality changes, delusions first, as opposed to like misplacing their keys or something like that.
That's exactly what it was. She accused my father of having an affair, and she chased him around the apartment with scissors.
Yes. Yeah. And because they really kind of fall into their delusions and really think that they're happening, and they have these moments where they're kind of falling into like a black hole.
Yeah.
And these things are happening, and then they pop back out of the black hole, so to speak,
Yeah. In 3 months, I said she went from playing bridge to being in a wheelchair, not speaking anymore in 3 months.
That form of dementia really hits hard and fast, actually, Larry.
Right.
Other like Alzheimer's disease, people can be impacted for like 10, 15 years, but Lewy bodies disease is a much faster progression.
Yes. And does that kill you? I mean, because I asked the doctor, what's she going to die from? He said, not this. And
I would say that they all do lead to death because they're all impacting the brain. So even though maybe Lewy body started with delusions, it's eventually kind of spreading out and affecting other parts of the neurons. And so even our movement, our depth perception, everything is controlled by our brains. And as the brain is kind of beginning to shut down because of the proteins building up, it will affect everything to the point where people don't swallow anymore.
She was able to swallow, but she couldn't feed herself.
Correct.
Sometimes they'd have to give her a little throat massage, but
so all the faculties begin to shut down because it's our brain that tells us and tells our body, like even tells our heartbeat to beat.
Right. But he said she would die from starvation.
Eventually, because it's almost like the body's way of knowing, and then they stop eating, and then it's usually a few days later.
Right. She actually, ironically enough, she died after eating. Just seeing her, kind of like the opposite of starvation. But but it was peaceful. But it was just 3 years of this, which was not peaceful.
Challenging, right?
Very. And she had wonderful aids. She had a bunch of aids, but one was for 3 years. That was unbelievable. Shout out to Savvy. I've done it before on the podcast.
Good job, Savvy.
Good job. It was unbelievable. I had to console Savvy when my mother died. She didn't have to console me.
Well, and that's what happens is that, people who are caregivers, they really embrace the role. They love the people that they're taking care of. And you might have felt like this too. Oftentimes it's almost like a double loss.
Yes.
You feel grief initially because you kind of lose that person that you always knew. And then when they finally pass, it's like this other grief.
I had no grief. because I was so
Relief.
happy. I was so relieved and
Yeah.
happy for my mother.
Yeah.
She did not want to be like that.
Well, and that's what
Yeah.
happens a lot
Yes.
too.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
but it's hard, and caregivers have those feelings, to be honest with you, Larry. And that's another thing we do. Like we
Yeah.
validate those feelings.
Yes.
Because everyone comes up to you and there's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and you're like, "Oh, thank goodness it's over."
Right. Yes.
But
Exactly.
you can't really voice that because
Yes.
people would be like, "What?"
Well, I've said this
Right.
before, and you have to be repetitive because being the kind of people we interview,
Yes.
I knocked my every episode. So but anyway, the comment I was going to make is she told me if I ever get like grandma, my grandmother with
Yes.
Alzheimer or dementia, so I won't say what kind it was.
Correct.
My mother said if I ever get like grandma, put a pillow over my face. I don't want to be like her. My grandmother's a happy person with no memory. Every time we met her, we were like strangers, and she was happy to meet these new people.
Right.
So when I say for a joke that she never had ice cream in her life, she just had an ice cream party. Her life is about celebrating life, always, from long before she was diagnosed and long after. And so she was happy. My mother wasn't. She was just the vegetable. And something is she didn't want to be like grandma. She doesn't want to be like this. So my word to people, don't ask your children to put a pillow over their face because it's something I struggled with. It
Yeah.
really is. I really wanted to suffocate my mother and put her over misery. But I know that's probably not a wise move. Being a religious person, that's probably not a wise move.
Yeah.
And being a person who believes in the law is probably not a wise move.
Do you look good in orange?
And I look good in orange. Orange is a good one.
Is that your color?
Is that but she asked me to do it 25 years ago. She asked me to do it, Your Honor. I don't think
It's interesting because I say the same thing to my children now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
please.
Don't tell them to put a pillow over their face. Trust me, I struggled with that. I'm getting to
Well, and
it.
it is very hard because, well, and you're kind of touching on something important, Larry. We make these promises,
Right.
correct, to our
Well, I
family.
never promised.
But people do, like to
Yes.
their spouse,
Yes.
like never put me in a nursing home.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, like your loved one gets impacted by one of these diseases and the care becomes unmanageable for many
Yes.
people. And so caregivers really struggle with, well, I promised I would never do this.
Right.
The guilt becomes overwhelming for people. And one of the things our organization does is really talk through these feelings with families, bring them together in support groups with other people, and show them how, like, you're not going to not be a caregiver if you decide that your loved one needs to live in a community, and your loved one might actually thrive a little bit because they're going to get, even more services and support. And you as a caregiver probably will thrive too because you get a little bit of your life back.
Correct.
And there's nothing wrong. And so getting people to kind of go through those emotions because they feel very guilty.
Oh, took 10
Like
years.
they feel really bad,
Yeah, absolutely. 10 years before I put my grandmother into back then a nursing home. This was
Right.
you're talking about 1980
Yeah.
or something. There weren't options then like there
Yeah.
are today. There was no memory care units, things of that nature. But she was happy. She was
Right.
happy.
Right.
So that's all that matters. She's being well taken care of and she was happy.
Yeah.
My mother also said, promised I'd never put her in a nursing home. And I never promised her that either. I said, I don't know what the future brings.
Correct.
I'm pragmatic. I can't make promises.
That's good. That's a good way to be,
She'd
Larry.
be very mad at me for that all the time. This went on for like a couple of decades. This battle.
But
about
some people
promises.
aren't, right?
Right.
They make decisions with
Right.
emotion.
Right. Absolutely. So please don't promise your parents anything. And parents, don't ask your kids stuff they can't really do or they shouldn't do.
Well, and that's some of the other conversations we bring up, especially if people are in the early stage, like
Yeah.
they've just gotten a diagnosis. Oftentimes people who maybe have just gotten a diagnosis, they're still with it, guys. Like they're
Yes.
driving, they might be still working.
Right.
And so we really encourage families, like start getting your ducks in a row now.
Right.
Start thinking about your estate planning, your financial planning. And even though people don't want to have these conversations and they're like uncomfortable, like when you still have most of your faculties and can kind of give your wishes, this is the time to make those decisions. And so we educate families about that. We educate them about Medicare, Medicaid, a lot. As I said, a lot of people don't really understand the nuances of long-term health care,
Yep.
all of these things. And again, sometimes you don't need to know.
Yep.
It's not impacting me. I don't need to know any of this. But then when it does, it's really important to educate yourself, plan. And a lot of people don't want to plan. It's like, if I don't plan, then it's not happening. We're ignoring it.
Correct. It'll go away. It'll go away.
But dementia doesn't go away, and it is a progressive disease, any forms of it, and so it really is important for people to be proactive,
Right.
and not kind of ignore, and to have the
Right.
conversations with their families.
You said a whole bunch of things I want to address. One is they'll spend that time hurrying to get their lives in order, right? One of my clients, when I was a financial advisor, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. He's getting a 3-month
Wow.
term, if you will.
Wow.
And he spent the last 3 months putting all his financial papers in order, consolidating his assets into one broker. That was me, luckily. And moving to an apartment so his wife would have a house to maintain.
Yeah.
Instead of spending the last 3 months doing something for himself, he did
Right.
everything for his wife, which is such a wonderful story. Also making me tear up because I knew the guy very well. But it'd been nicer if all that stuff had been done in advance and they could spend the
Correct.
last 3 months together doing things other than the practical
Paperwork.
things,
Yeah,
the
the
paperwork and
paperwork.
so on. You said a bunch, yes, I
Sure.
forgot that. I should have taken notes. There's so many things there. But that's the one that hit me most. But in this podcast, we talk all the time. We talked a lot about attorneys, estate planners.
Yes.
People don't plan until they're not planning for the future, they're planning for the present.
Correct.
And I hate to use the same term planning because it's hard to say planning when it's now, right? And so that was another comment you made. Plan for the future.
Correct.
You don't have to plan for dementia of some side, but have your finances in order and
Right.
all that stuff. So you're not doing that. And I'm not telling you to plan for Medicaid,
Right.
Medicare, God willing, we'll all get Medicare. It means you made it to 65.
Yeah.
But plan for the things that can happen, that there's a chance of happening. In my family, with my grandmother with dementia, my mother with a Lewy body, my mother's sister, so I'm not sure if that affects me genetically, but the other thing I want to comment, she was developing dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And she was in her early 90s. Oh, not even early, in her 90s. And she knew her mother had it, she knew her sister had it, and how she's developing it. But then she was diagnosed with something else, and she knew she had a very short time to live. So I said that, well, the one before she was diagnosed with the worst diagnosis, I said to her, the good news about dementia is you don't know you have it. I said, you're in the worst stage when you know you're getting it. Once you have it, you really don't know. I said, when you have cancer, you know you have cancer, right? You can't forget that. But dementia, you can't remember that. So she didn't really appreciate that humor. You get it, she didn't get it. So anyway, but then she never lived long enough for it to manifest itself into something terrible. It was minor, and then she passed. But she lived a wonderful life. But she was all prepared.
Right.
She prepared because of her mother, because of her sister, and she was just a very planning kind of person.
Yeah.
There were no changes to make in her life, her husband's life, and it was as smooth as could be.
Yes.
And so please plan. Please plan. This is a financial planning discussion, even though it's not what you're talking about necessarily. It's a life planning discussion.
Definitely.
Discuss with your kids and your spouse what you want.
Correct your wishes.
Your
I
wishes.
agree. And there's a lot of planning that you can also
Yeah.
do for your family that they can grieve appropriately. I mean, you
Yes.
can even plan your whole funeral.
Yes.
And
That
when
was
you
the last session I had. Yep.
But that's so wonderful because
Yeah.
what I see too is and you probably have seen this over your lifetime too. Within grief, now you go to a funeral home and I mean they're just throwing things at you and you're like, sure, all the bells and whistles.
Right,
Well, the
right.
bells and whistles could be $35,000. And so, to go now and plan, you get today's prices,
Right.
which
Yeah.
are also great.
Right.
But you really kind of iron out all those details so that when you eventually transition and pass away, like your family can just really grieve and not have to worry about like
Correct.
all those little pieces. And then they also know, well, this is what mom or dad wanted. Like
Right.
literally, this was
Right.
their plan. We did good.
Yeah.
S-
I got to tell you, with all this discussion about planning,
yeah.
I'm not such a big guy because my mother, we did not pre-plan her funeral.
Mhm.
Now, we knew she was going to go.
Correct.
It was so obvious to do. My father was in the hospital. We knew he was going to go in a few days, but we did nothing until he went.
Yeah.
So I'm guilty. You
But
know,
it's hard.
it's hard. The rest of their lives were planned, but
Right.
that wasn't, the funeral stuff wasn't planned. And in hindsight, I even said, after my father said to myself, why didn't, in those 12 days he was in the hospital, we knew he wasn't coming out. Why didn't we take care of this? My brother was here, my sister was here, my wife and
Right.
I here. Why didn't we just let it go till after he passed? And we're Jewish. She's supposed to be within 24 hours. So it's a real rush to the clock.
Right.
But the thing is, there's fewer decisions, no casket decisions, the
Right.
plain pine box. So they make it, my religion makes it easy, but they make it fast.
Right.
So, but anyway, but with that said, it's not like I'm espousing stuff because I did the same thing. I'm guilty like everybody else.
Well, we all are, right? And so again, like our organization, it's not a criticism at all.
Right.
It's almost like a validation.
Oh, that's true. Validation.
Yeah, validation. Like we all do this. This is human nature.
Yes.
But reach out to us because we can help
Right.
you and guide you. We do a lot of referrals
Right.
to whether it is a financial plan or whether
Right.
it is an estate attorney.
Right.
Whether you do need someone to help you do
Right.
Medicaid applications.
Yes.
Whether you need someone to help you move out of your home.
Right.
You need a senior real estate agent,
Right.
because we do have families where, as the disease progresses, sometimes it's time to make those decisions, especially if you live here on Long Island. You know, a lot of our homes have the laundry in the basement,
Yeah.
right? Like, how many of us seriously are going to the basement?
Yeah.
And so the home that you've raised your children
Yeah.
in might not be the appropriate home to age in place
Correct.
in.
Correct.
I mean, even after this winter, oh my gosh, Larry, this winter, I was even looking at your
Yes.
block. I mean,
Yes.
the plowing, the snowing. I mean, it was so much. And then you think about someone who's a senior, even if you're living on a fixed income,
Yeah.
it's like, how many times can you afford to pay the guy to come
Good.
shovel your
It was
driveway,
the going
right?
rate here was $150 a driveway.
It was $250 where I am.
$250.
I'm over in West Islip.
Okay. Wow.
$250. And I
$250.
had families who were
Right.
literally coming to me being like, I don't know if I'm going to see you next week because
Right.
like we can't keep paying this much
Right.
money like to get
Right.
out of our house. Like, we'll see
Right.
you when it
In the
roundabouts.
spring.
Yeah,
In the
roundabouts.
spring. Two
So
things. Yes.
it's
By the
good,
way,
important, again, back to the planning. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Because you got to look at even your home. Is your
Yeah.
home really conducive to aging in place? And then is your home filled with a ton of stuff from 40 years? Help your children with that, guys, too. You know, clean out the stuff so that, you know, once you pass away, like, these are not things that your children have to deal with.
I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to go one step because my parents moved into their house in 1957, the year before I was born.
And when did you sell the
We
house?
sold the house. It is now 2026. We
Mhm.
sold the house 2022.
Wow.
Okay.
So that, I mean, what is that,
And
60, 70
yeah,
years in their
yes.
home?
And they traveled the world,
So they have a lot of good stuff.
and they always bought expensive things when they traveled,
Mhm.
nice things.
Yeah.
They bought the gigantic Yadro horses, which were a fortune. I tell the story. I've told this so many times. And actually, there was a big hit on just my son just told me on Instagram the other day.
Mhm.
That my parents bought a $4,000 Turkish rug wall hanging. It was like, I'll say 2x4. I think I'm exaggerating. I don't know if it's even that big. And they would tell me how beautiful it was. My daughter, and it was hanging on the steps. My daughter walked down, and she knew she wasn't allowed to touch it. Grandma said, "You don't touch it. You don't even rub your hand over it." Well, we went to after they passed away. My daughter went to touch it. She goes, "It's no big deal." It was very funny. She's now 30. What's the big deal? Why can't I touch this thing? But anyway, we sold this $4,000 Turkish rug for $150.
Correct.
Right? Nothing. They're multi-$1,000 crystal chandelier. Or was it Waterford crystal chandelier, which they inherited? So it goes back, 1940 or something. So after about 6 months, I gave it to a friend to sell for $150.
I know.
So it's not worth anything. But I told my parents, this advice I gave my parents, who wanted us to want the things they had.
I know.
I'm not a tchotchke guy.
I'm not either, Larry.
So just something else to dust and clutter up. So I said, you want me to want your stuff? Then take a pad. This is good advice. I believe it's my advice. So it
I
must
know.
be.
Yes.
Take a pad and write down an item, put in one, and then write down what one is, and write down maybe a little backstory. My mother loved taking notes about her trips. Write down backstory, where you got it, maybe what it is, if it's something special, and then put a little sticker underneath the item with a 1 on it, and then go 2 and 3, and then we'll look at the book and say, well, this is interesting. My mother said, well, what do you think this is worth? And she picks up, I'm going to call it a glass ashtray. So I said, oh, the glass ashtray? She goes, Larry, it's a Turkish ceremonial dish of some sort. And I went like this. I'm just lifting, and I said, an ashtray, I'd say about 1.5 pounds, $7.50. She goes, what does that mean? I said, when you die, what I'm going to do, we're going to have a tax sale. I'm going to have a scale at the front door. Everyone gets on the scale. I write down the weight on an index card. And they leave. They hold everything in their arms. They get back on the scale. I charge them $5 a pound. She goes, that dish was $200. I said, nope, $7.50.
Right.
I said, unless you tell me what it is, it's meaningless.
Correct.
So, by the way, it wasn't even worth $7.50. Nobody wanted anything.
No,
I brought in specialists, not tag sale people, and I brought I have a whole.
Yes.
I said
Estate sale people.
I brought in estate sale people.
Yes.
I brought in collectible people. This we get off track a little bit, but it has to do with seniors.
Yes.
About planning, and that is, they had some Peter Max puzzles unopened in the basement from 1962 or something. This person trades in 1950s memorabilia and stuff. They bought these glasses, these plastic cups. My mother, when they first moved in the house, that were I've never seen in my life. They were packed in a box in the basement. Love those. The craft is what sold. The stuff they spent money on, nobody wants
I
it.
know.
Just now I'm 67. I don't want that stuff. My kids don't want my stuff, and I have a lot less. So, folks,
clean out your stuff.
kids don't want your stuff. I said this. I looked at this camera, said that many times. Your kids don't want it, and if you're not using, get rid of it. Someone I know, I don't know if she's listened to the podcast. She collected these ceramic rats. She had 900 of them.
Whoa!
And she
How creepy.
She packed up and moved to the Midwest.
Yeah.
And she packed all 900 of them. So
the rats went out.
The rats
went out
it's
west
now
too.
infestation. Yeah. So anyway, so we hired for her. We hired not a cleanout guy, like a organizer, home organizer.
Yes, of course.
At our dime, we hired him just to help her out. And he said, "Why don't we take 30?
Right.
60." She wanted all of them. All
Crazy.
of them. So please be careful. We're going a little bit off field, but we're really not. This is all part of planning.
It is. And it's all part of, when someone, if they are impacted by any of these kinds of dementia diagnosis, it's really important to plan.
Right.
And get your things in, and then get back to enjoying life again. That's the other thing that our organization offers. So besides educating people, offering support, we do what we call a lot of life enrichment activities. Mm-hmm. And so we offer art therapy programs, music therapy programs. We partner with a lot of museums here on Long Island, so that our families can go attend museum programs. Because what we see, Larry, is just because someone has a diagnosis of dementia doesn't mean they still don't like high cultural art things,
Sure.
And the caregiver too. Sometimes they're so much bogged down with caregiving. Did you take your medicine? Did you take a shower? That they forget to enjoy life a little bit.
I believe that.
And so we organize fun outings and programs. They're completely free. Yeah. We do not charge the caregiver, but they are a dyad where it is the care partner and the person living with the disease. They come to the program together and they both participate together. And it's really an opportunity to connect, paint together, enjoy music together, enjoy a museum together.
Quick question for you on that.
Yeah.
I've heard how music brings out memories and so on. Does the same work with art?
Yes, it does.
I've never heard that, but it seemed like it would.
Yes. So we actually work with a famous woman named Berna Hubner. She lives in Paris, France, and her mother was a famous artist. And when her mother developed dementia, Berna really struggled to connect with her mom. And students from the Chicago Institute of Art came into the nursing home, and they brought art and paper, and she saw her mom light up again.
So her mom was the artist.
Her mom had been the artist. She got dementia, hadn't picked up anything. Everyone kind of forgot to continue to introduce that. The mother lit up and started painting again. And then one day the mother even turned to Berna, her daughter, and was like, I remember better when I paint.
Huh.
And they were able to connect again. And we see that too, Larry. We have people, sometimes they're not very verbal. They come to art therapy. Maybe we're painting a scene in the South Shore and it's like, hey, do you remember when we owned the boat?
Oh, there you go.
Hey, I love this color blue. I had that dress I wore on Easter and it was this blue. So what we see is art will bring up memories, or it'll help the caregiver even just have conversation. Oh, this was always my favorite color, green. St. Patrick's Day was recently. And so it just sparks these conversations that's not about caregiving. It's not about, did you take your medicine?
Right.
We got to go to a doctor's appointment.
Right.
And the same with museums. We go to a lot of different art and cultural museums. We partner with the Jewish Museum. And again, we'll look at different things and it really just sparks something in people. And it's like, wow, I remember this, or wow, this makes me feel better. And even our caregivers, when they arrive at a program, Larry, we'll ask them, how are you feeling? I'm stressed out, and and then after they participate, how are you doing? I'm feeling better. How are your nerves? How's your anxiety? How's your stress level? And people feel better, and definitely with music. We actually believe in the power of music. We partner with a lot of different music therapists, and we see the same thing with music. We'll have people nonverbal. We bring in a musician. They're playing music from the time period. Typically, the time period from when you were 15 to about 30 is the music that resonates with you the most.
That makes sense.
And so we'll play some of that music. All of a sudden, I got people tapping their feet, singing the words, moving their bodies a little. And the same for the caregivers. It's like, wow, look at my person's coming along. Look, they're smiling. I haven't seen them tap their foot in so long. Right. And so we see, and there is a lot of science now behind the power of music, how certain hertzes go in and affect certain neurons in our brain.
Oh, really?
Yeah, music is incredibly powerful. Even we work with a neurologist and we bring him in and he shows how certain musical notes, things like that, how they affect the power of the brain, and how when we all hear a certain song, how we all connect to it.
I listened to music when I was in college.
Yeah.
I didn't really listen to music before college. I never listened to music after college.
Wow.
Never. And So when I hear college songs, I'll smell my dorm room.
Yes.
Yes, it's amazing how that comes back, and I'll taste, unfortunately, the cafeteria food. It was 1970s college food. It was not like college food today. Yes, it's incredibly powerful for a guy that has music is really not in my life at all, except for 4 years of my 67 years of existence. But yet it's even powerful for me. So, and when you have dementia, there's very little memory going on a day-to-day basis, and that can spark my memory works throughout the year for now.
But even your emotions and your mood. You ever get in your car and you're in a little bit of a bad mood and your favorite song comes on the radio?
Oh, it changes
And you
everything.
crank it up a little and
Yeah.
you're banging on the steering wheel. And now the weather's getting nice. We're rolling down the window and you feel good, right?
It's
It can
amazing.
literally change your entire attitude in 5 minutes.
It does.
And so even caregivers, we show them like, you're trying to get your loved one in the shower.
Yes.
Sometimes that's like one of the hardest parts of
Uh-huh.
caregiving, getting your loved one to bathe. And they're being difficult. Maybe they're fighting. It's like, put on like your favorite song. Be like, yo, ma, start dancing, grab the towel, now we're bebopping into the shower. It really works.
That's interesting.
And we even, to be honest, Larry, we even go into communities, assisted living, memory care, and we train their staff how to use these techniques because we really believe in like person-centered care. If you can connect to the person and find what works, it makes all the caregiving easier.
Hi, I'm Larry.
And I'm Ben. We're the father and son team of Leave the Key Home Buyers, and we want to buy your house.
We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you were going through.
So if you're considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out and see how we can help.
Do you have an outdated home?
No need to update anything.
Have a home that needs repairs?
Don't bother with repairs.
Don't want to take everything with you?
Leave whatever you want behind.
Dreading the headaches that come with agents?
Sell your home without paying a commission.
Dreading prying neighbors attending open houses and passing judgment on your home?
No need for public showings.
When you sell to us, you'll have all the certainty of closing on your timeline, not someone else's, and there's absolutely no pressure.
Visit leavethekey.com or call us today for a no-obligation offer at 631-388-7771 if you want to sell your home today.
Fascinating. So I have a question back to you. You said about the different hertz affect different parts of the brain. Can they create music?
Yes, they already are.
Okay,
with AI, there are so many, and that's another thing that we teach caregivers. We teach them how they can use AI and technology to tap into these. So it's like, you want to use music? Come on, don't make me go make a playlist, right? Like when we were kids, you make a playlist.
Yeah.
No, AI is creating the music where certain hertz, even for ADHD. We were talking about that a little earlier before we were on air. There is an app. It's called Brain FM.
Brain FM.
And they literally have created music. So like if you have ADHD, you can say, these are the kind of notes I like. And then it creates playlists for you. And I use it, Larry. Like it plays music and it like helps you. It's like, okay, I need to focus hard or I'm in a creative zone. And it customizes it and it plays music for you and helps you like get in the zone or focus or be creative. It's fascinating.
That's interesting.
And like real studies, like it's not like hippy dippy, like Harvard's looking at this, Ohio State, like,
Oh, I believe it. I wouldn't have used the word hippie dip. That never crossed my mind. You're talking about science.
It is. It's fascinating.
Right. Music could be hippy dippy, but this is science now.
But even we're all born with internal rhythms and beats, and we do connect to that again over and over again in our lifetime.
Yes. I remember the first time that music made me remember college. When I listened to 2 songs. When I used to have started woodworking in my basement when I was a kid. I was like 12 or 13. It was Daddy Don't You Walk So Fast and The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. Those are the only 2 songs I remember that are not during the 4 years of college. And if they ever come on, if I'm somewhere there's music playing, so I never turn it on, I have the flashback also of my basement. So it's those 2 songs and then 4 years. That's it. So, but it's very funny. I mean, and for a guy to listen to music, the fact that I remember songs from 1970.
The lyrics, right?
Yes,
the
the
moment
lyrics.
it comes on, you could sing the whole song.
Absolutely. I don't remember anything.
Well, and we see the same thing with people who are impacted by dementia. They might not be verbal at all. They can't remember like what they had for breakfast. We put on a song. They're singing all the words of the song.
That's right.
And their family members like, what's happening?
The song in 30 years.
Right. And they can sing all the words.
Let's talk about that for a moment. And that is, they haven't heard the song in 30 years. Long-term memory versus short-term memory. I understand my lack of understanding, but the little I might understand is that the long-term memory is more intact than the short-term memory.
Correct.
Okay.
So the best way I've ever heard it is think of like your short-term memory like a file cabinet.
Right.
And so an example is, I go, so Larry, when are we going to go to lunch? And you go, we're going at 12:30, Lauren. I don't have the file cabinet anymore to put that little
Right.
piece of information into anymore. And so in a little bit, I go, Larry, when are we going to lunch? And you go, 12:30, Lauren. And I'm like, oh, okay. I still don't have the filing cabinet to put the information. So the information just flies away. A few minutes later. So Larry, what time are we going to lunch? Now when you respond to me, your tone changes.
Right.
I can hear a little bit of the aggravation in your tone. But me, I'm like, why is he getting aggravated with
met my
me?
wife.
I'm just asking him what time we're going to lunch. You're aggravated because I've asked you a few times.
Right.
I don't know that I've asked you a few times. I don't have the information because I had no filing cabinet to put the information you kept giving to me.
Right.
But I can hear your tone.
Yes.
And so now I get agitated back with you.
Yes.
And you're like, why are you getting snippy with me? And now it creates this dynamic, correct? And so a little bit, again, is like educating caregivers, like this dynamic might happen.
Yes.
And how do we rectify it and realize like your loved one's not, why do they keep doing this to me, Lauren? I hear that a lot.
Really?
And I'm like, they're not doing anything to you. Like their brain doesn't work.
Right.
And so if we think about our brains like a computer, and when our computer starts fritzing,
yes.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little of the same thing. Like
so you have to plug and unplug.
Correct.
Unplug and unplug.
Yeah, right. Control Alt Delete. But it's when we start looking, we reframe what's happening to the person who's impacted by the disease, and even the caregiver too.
Yeah.
Caregivers know this inherently,
right.
But it when we get caught up in the moment or the emotions or we have our own stress, right? You're thinking like, I got to do a million things. Why do they keep asking the same question? Like, they're making me crazy. Your brain is actually changing too when you're a caregiver as you're caregiving someone else. So sometimes when your reaction is a little too much or something, and then later you feel guilty, right? Why did I react like that? I should not be. And the guilt comes, well, your brain is also changing. You're constantly living in this fear or flight mode. Yeah. And so when you reacted harshly, like you really can't blame yourself. You know what I mean? Like
it's frustrating.
Correct. And you're human too. And so you're dealing with all these other emotions. And that's, again, another thing that we really talk out with caregivers. We get them to recognize, like, this is all normal. Right. Like if you feel like you're going crazy, you are going a little crazy because you're in this constant state of worrying about someone else, taking care of someone else, and oftentimes not taking care of your needs. Yes. Like I often ask caregivers, "Oh gosh, what'd you eat today?" It's like, did I eat? Did I have breakfast? I'm like, when did last time I get a haircut? Like, where are you sleeping? Well, I'm sleeping in a chair like this. I'm like, oh my God, guys. So it's really important that people take care of themselves.
Yes. You're no good to your thing. The old put your oxygen mask on before you.
100%.
I said to my wife all the time, who attends to our daughter's family, because we have a disabled grandchild, and in fact, my daughter's due in 2 weeks with a third.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of work, and then she's taking care of her parents who are in their 90s.
Oh, so
There's going to be 98.
Sandwich generation.
So we say a club sandwich because you got the extra.
Correct, club sandwich.
So I should say a sandwich with extra layer of meat. Someone said a club sandwich. I like that better.
I like that better too.
And we're not alone. There's a lot of the fourth generation, the 100%. One in the middle. So especially here on Long Island,
of course,
where the kids can't afford. My kids' generation have a hard time living financially.
Of course.
So they can't even get the help they need because it's too expensive.
Oh my goodness, daycare, childcare.
Oh yeah.
Astronomical.
$25,000 for childcare. I mean, it's out of control.
I know.
It's a problem here. But so we're getting squeezed. Luckily we have the bandwidth to handle it. But all the things you're saying, while we're not dealing with dementia, we're dealing with elderly parents.
And caregiving.
And then dealing with our granddaughter, and they just got an au pair within a few days ago, and that will help. So the reason I bring that up is you need help.
Yes.
Don't feel you're a failure because you're getting help.
Well, and a lot of people, I love that you said that, Larry, because so many people are like, I got this. And it's like, it's okay to ask for help. Right. But I think the other thing is that if you are someone who helps someone as a caregiver, don't always go, so what do you need? Because as a caregiver, like now you're giving me another job to think of. And, you know what I mean?
That's interesting.
Please don't give me another thing to think of. Instead go, do you want me to pick up your groceries for you?
Right.
Do you need me to go Stop and Shop?
Right.
do you want me to rake the leaves out of your flower bed?
Right.
Do you need help shoveling?
Right.
Because as caregivers, they need help.
Right.
They can't even think about what they need help
Right.
with. And when people go to them, I'm here anytime. Reach out if you want me to do anything. It's like, oh my God, you just gave me another task to do. Like I can't even think about what I need. So us as individuals, if we're friends with someone, we're trying to support someone, it's a family member, be proactive, like send dinner to the house.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. That's really good
Go,
advice.
hey, can I drive Jimmy to his next doctor's appointment for you so you can go get your eyes checked? Or
Right.
so I think it's being like a little more cognizant and being more proactive to individuals as opposed to being like, I'm here to help you. Anytime you need, call me.
Right.
That's not very helpful.
Right.
That's
really good advice. I would never have thought of that. You think you're being nice by offering to help, but
you see, I get emotional because I care about caregivers.
Yes. Oh, I was getting emotional talking about things too.
Because even caregivers, Larry, I got to tell you, like they get agitated when people are like, they're like, you don't think I heard put my own oxygen mask on first, Lauren? But like,
exactly.
I got a million things to do. Don't give me another thing to do.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you're 100% right. Yeah. So again, it's like, can I buy you dinner? Can I come to your house and play Jeopardy with so and so you can get out for an hour, so you will get your nails done.
Right.
Like those things are important for caregivers, but they don't do those things and they're never going to ask for your help so they can do that.
Right.
Like, hey, I need to get my hair cut. Like, can you come over here and watch him? Right. They're never going to say that.
Right.
But if a family member goes, hey, I'm going to come over, I'm going to bring bagels and you can go out for an hour. Me and Jimmy are going to eat some bagels. We're going to watch the football game.
Right.
Yeah, a caregiver would love that.
That's really good. Really simple. Something you're willing to do.
Correct.
We say, what can I do for you? You want to do something?
Yeah, just do it. Hey, you want me to drive you to the grocery store? Or,
right.
when you get home with the groceries, text me. I'll send my 16-year-old here to get them out of your trunk for you.
Right. That's a lot of stuff comes up, obviously, on this podcast. 40 minutes, an hour every week.
Yeah.
And that's one of the really simplest, most practical bits of really good advice I've heard.
Thank you.
Because in hindsight, it's so obvious. And living with a caregiver, not my caregiver, but a caregiver, I know exactly what you're saying. And when I say to her, what can I do for you? I don't know.
Correct.
And it's almost like aggravating.
Because you're giving her now another thing to think about. She's like, now I got to think about something I have to do.
And I get annoyed when she responds that way.
Correct. But instead be like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go food shopping this week. Or place the order. I'll just go pick it up for you.
Well, I'm going to start by not getting annoyed.
Okay,
then maybe I'll go the next step and actually offer. But I'll start by not getting annoyed. Okay. It's baby steps.
Well, and that's the other thing we tell caregivers. Like people get annoyed quickly because they're not taking care of their own selves. They're not eating well. They're not getting enough sleep, And so, and even my caregivers, some of them that are going it alone, Larry, I'm like, okay, you're doing all this alone, but like you fall down the stairs and break your leg. What's the plan here?
That happened to my wife. She fell down the stairs and sprained both ankles.
Oh my goodness.
Was in a wheelchair for 6 weeks. And the world, she thought was going to come to a crashing halt. I mean, I work 70, 80 hours a week, but I had to stop and take care of my grandkids in the morning and deal with my in-laws and meet the kid off the bus after school, which I still do. And this went on for months because even after that, just still couldn't pick the kids up. And even now, it's not so easy. And this happened November 11th. And here it is. It's April. So
there's still this disruption and navigating it all. And so again, important to plan.
Exactly.
Have a backup plan. Like, God forbid if this happens, what's our backup plan?
And that's it. We didn't have one, but
you're figuring it out.
I rose to meet the challenge of what ahead of us. So it just was what it is. Luckily, I work for myself, so I can be flexible and do what I have to do.
Yeah.
So work has to suffer before my family has to suffer. And I work for my family. Yeah. So, but you're right. They don't plan for, for the unknown.
Correct.
And back to planning.
Yeah. Either you plan to fail or you fail to plan.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Yep.
And when I was with the Scouts, everything was about be prepared.
Right. Be prepared.
That was our motto for every single thing. Be prepared.
Yes. Are the Scouts still around?
Definitely.
The Boy Scouts bankrupt that went bankrupt.
They did. They went through national bankruptcy. They were getting sued with a lot of,
stuff.
No, not that. Child abuse case
from the
1970s. They did settle $2.7 billion with a B.
Where's that money come from?
Every single council, so they had about 300 local chapters. Everyone was given a bill, and I mean, our council sold the building.
Right.
And so we were able to sell our building for $2 million, and that we had to contribute that. Every office and chapter was given like a bill to ante up to pay for that.
2.7 billion.
And that all went to like lawyers. Like,
Yes.
what I mean? I was not going to victims.
Yeah.
Like, let's not make.
I was the victim of a class action suit. I didn't even know I was in it. I got
Yeah.
it for 11 cents.
That's what I
11
mean. Like the
cents.
people in the
Yeah.
class action suit are getting
Yeah.
like $2,200, Larry.
Yes.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the Boy Scouts had to sell their building.
Buildings, camps. I mean, they sold
Yes.
camps all over the whole country.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had to do a lot, but
Yeah. That
that is what it is.
we'll leave that be. But so let's talk now. You talked about programming and some things you do. So let's be more specific.
So again, we do a lot of education, not only for family caregivers, but even professionals. So if there's an organization out there, home care agencies, we try to train their staff as well in dementia, in person-centered care, in tips and tricks, in caregiving, so that when they do enter someone's home, they know a little bit more about the disease and the behaviors, and they can provide some of the best care. We work with many different organizations. We do a lot of referrals. So sometimes, to be honest, Larry, a family might call us just because they do need an estate attorney. And often we actually will be like, well, where do you live? Tell me a little bit about your family, tell me a little bit about your needs. And then we're able to kind of guide them to 3 of the best individuals. We serve all of Long Island. And then in the city, we actually are a partner and affiliated with an organization called Caring Kind, and they do the same exact work as us.
Okay.
So if you are in one of the 5 boroughs, our partners, as I said, is Caring Kind in Manhattan, and the same thing, free services and support for caregivers, life enrichment activities. Again, they have art therapy, music therapy. They do a lot of Zoom programs. They even are offering a program called cognitive stimulation therapy. And we're going to start doing them here on Long Island in the next few months as well. And what that is if you've gone to your doctor and they say, you have a diagnosis of mild cognitive decline, we have a closed 14-week group where you come every week. You meet other people who have gotten a similar diagnosis.
Closed? Does that mean it starts at the same time for everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
So everybody is in that group starting at the same exact point and doing the work together. And really, it's a program where we stimulate the brain. The group works together. So now you build a support system. And again, a lot of the individuals are people who still work professionally full time. They still have families. They still drive, but they've gotten this diagnosis of mild cognitive impairment, and they really want to try and sharpen. And we can sharpen our brains.
Right.
We actually haven't talked about that, but getting a diagnosis of dementia, there are 40% lifestyle choices that you can make to not.
Really?
Yes.
I wanted to ask you.
Yes. So we are all not doom and gloom, folks.
Right.
So there are a lot of things that people can be doing.
Right.
You're actually a really good example because you have purpose.
Right.
You're staying engaged with the grandkids. You're involved in your community. Those things really, really matter to people. So individuals who retire and think they're going to sit home and just watch TV and, I don't know, more COVID or something. No. Really important to volunteer. Our food choices are incredibly important. Stop with the packaged food, the processed foods. If you look at folks who are living to over 100 in different parts of the world, they're called blue zones.
Yes. My wife read all the books.
Yes. I would encourage your listeners, if they're not familiar with blue zones, to Google it. It is fascinating. And what it shows in these different parts of the world is that the people that live in these blue zones, they all have a certain type of lifestyle.
Long Island's not a blue zone.
No, but we've
It's a
created
black zone.
we have created a test pilot in the Bronx with Caring
really?
Kind, and we're implementing a lot of these lifestyle things to see if we can create a blue zone.
Really?
Yes.
In the Bronx.
Yes. So talking about the importance of good nutrition, like people, it's a Mediterranean diet, limit the red meat, more beans, more fruits, vegetables, nuts, all that stuff where it's like,
Right.
not saying you can't have ice cream once in a blue moon, guys, but
Not every day.
again, not every day. And all this processed food that we're all eating, the crackers, the potato chips, not good for us.
Yeah.
Hydration. I can not tell you how, and you must see this, Larry, as well. Folks, dehydration leads to UTIs, which leads you into the hospital, which can literally kick in different forms of dementia. So please drink your water. Like, so incredibly important to drink water.
The family member of mine, you took 3 times they thought she had dementia and it was UTI.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we are houseplants, people. We need water and sun.
My ADHD coach says every day drink a glass of water before anything else in the morning.
Yes. And our brains do not work right if they're dehydrated.
No.
And so even as an individual, if you're like, I'm having memory fog, I feel like, are you drinking water?
I'm not doing great.
I'm right, exactly.
Yeah.
Cheers
With cheers. We're
to
drinking
the
right
water.
now. You got to be inspired.
It's so incredibly important. Exercise. Exercise does not mean join Planet Fitness. Nothing against some guys, but exercise, just walk around your neighborhood.
I do pay my bill every year.
Yeah, do a little gardening,
like
things like that. And then brain activity is some of the best brain activities. Learn how to play chess. You work both sides of your brain. Learn a new language.
Why is chess both sides of the brain?
Because it's strategy and planning ahead and all of that. And so it's very interesting. I don't know if when you were younger, did your parents ever say, oh my God, you have such a thick skull?
Yes.
So there's actually the right and left part of the brain are connected by a membrane. And when you do certain activities like play chess, learn how to dance, learn a language, it uses both parts of the brain and it actually makes that membrane stronger. And so it actually does make it thick,
That's interesting.
and stronger.
There you go. But it's a good thing.
Yes. But you want to try and use both parts of your brain. So if you're sitting at home with your loved one, sign up for a dance class. The two of you go learn how to do a tango. As I said, those activities really work our brain. Going to play golf does not work your brain.
Something simpler I heard is use your other hand, like to brush your teeth.
Yes, even those, change your routine.
Right.
You know what I mean? Drive home from work a different way one day. But exactly right. I saw that you're a lefty.
I'm a lefty.
But if you're a righty, use your left hand to eat your food with, brush your teeth with. All of those things, they create new neurons and improves our neuroplasticity in the brain. And so trying something new, putting yourself out there, going to a party where you don't know anyone and introducing yourself. Like the things that make us uncomfortable actually make our brain stronger and improve our overall health.
That's interesting. Things that make us uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's like just something we're not used to doing.
Correct.
Or else become comfortable if you do enough.
Correct. So, if you're sitting at home, go volunteer for an organization that you care about. Just walk in and be like, hey, you looking for volunteers? Most nonprofits need volunteers.
Oh, that's a wonderful thing to do.
And you can, and then build your social network. We are social beings and our brains really deteriorate when we are not social. Like right now, our brains are firing off of each other. Like if there was little magnets on our heads, the sparks, because our neurons are firing off. And as you say something, then I'm like, ooh, and vice versa. And so it's really important that you're interacting with folks, that you're having conversations. One of the best ways to enjoy free socialization are public libraries. We have some of the best library systems literally in our whole country, Suffolk County and Nassau. Amazing programs. Go get engaged with those. But it's the simple things that can actually keep us healthier and stronger.
That's good. Using your brain, as you said. Playing golf is not using your brain. Playing chess. We just had to clean out. Not a big deal. We had to clean out my son's room. Yeah. My son left when he was 18. Yeah. He's 37. But
it's been a while.
It became the au pair's room.
Understood.
So, and we're taking all the games out.
Yes.
Shelves and shelves of games most of them never played.
Yes.
And in this chess and Othello.
Risk. Did you guys ever
I love Risk. That's my college game. Risk and Monopoly.
My husband loves Risk.
I'm writing a book about Monopoly. But anyway, I grew up playing Monopoly and I'm a real estate guy.
Well, and even Monopoly, it's strategy.
Absolutely.
You're planning ahead. You got to watch your money. You're kind of being like, all right, I'm going to get those 3 properties. And
negotiating the deals.
Yes.
Oh, I think it's a great game.
I agree.
It's real. I live Monopoly. That's I live Monopoly. That's what the book's about. But but also backgammon.
Yes.
These are all these strategy games where they're really not. Monopoly, you're rolling the dice. There's luck involved as well.
There is.
But there's no luck in backgammon.
Correct.
Except maybe choose a lousy opponent. That's actually skill too. But anyway, so I'm trying to tell my wife, let's sit down, let's play something tonight. And never, because she's a caregiver and never gives time to herself. And it's so frustrating. And I know I'm worried about my brain being that's multi-generational. Yeah. And Alzheimer, is dementia hereditary?
It can be. There is genetics.
Okay.
But again, you don't have to be like, oh, woe is me.
It's not a death sentence.
It's not.
Doesn't going to have it.
Correct. Not at all.
But we have more propensity.
Correct. And so that's why your lifestyle choices are even more important. And to be very honest, Larry, the lifestyle choices are now that, in your 40s.
Right.
Like if you wake up and you're 75 and you haven't done anything right, the boat has kind of sailed away. The other thing we talked about was alcohol. People
Okay.
need to stay away from the
All
alcohol.
right. I don't drink any.
Yeah, the alcohol is really not good for our brains.
Not even the one glass of wine.
You're better off without it. There's
Okay.
more and more coming out where you're again, the water. Let's go back to
Water,
the
water.
water. Well, I mean, if it's the holidays, it's Passover,
Right, right.
you're having your
I
Seder,
drink
or
grape juice.
it's Easter Sunday, you want to have a little one, it's fine. But
Right.
this every single day, no.
Yeah.
It dulls our senses, it dehydrates us.
Right.
It's just not good.
Look, I haven't had an ounce of alcohol since I'm 26.
That's me.
So I
Congratulations.
just don't like it. So
Well, and that's hard in our society.
yeah,
Our
and
society is a big
yes.
drinking society. People always like, why don't you have a drink? You don't have a drink. Let me get you a
When
drink.
you're the secret when you're at a party, I get a ginger ale with a lime twist. You put a lime twist on it,
They-
they think it's a drink.
Well, that's me. I get a cherry Coke.
A cherry Coke.
They think I'm drinking a rum and Coke. all the
Exactly.
time.
You got to hide the fact because people get very upset.
They
if you don't
do.
drink.
It's almost like a front against them. It's like you not drinking somehow is on
Right.
them.
Right.
And I'm like, you can have your drink, but I've learned the
Right.
same thing. I got to have a little fake rum and
Right.
Coke.
Fake rum and-
My
Being
fake rum
drunk
and
was
Coke.
being drunk was fun when I was in college. Then I
Yeah.
became a grown up.
I know.
So,
and like I said, it's just not really good for our brains
Yeah.
or our overall health at
Yep,
all.
yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So no alcohol. So I should not be eating a half pound of pretzels a day. That's probably not good.
No.
I do rub some of the salt. Not enough. Huh?
I mean, maybe you're having them with hummus. That would be a little better. Get a
No,
little
I
protein
just
on
I
them,
am.
dipping them in peanut
I do
butter.
that sometimes.
A little
sometimes.
protein on the
Puts a little-
pretzel.
It doesn't negate the pretzel, though, does it?
I mean, a few pretzels are okay. It's definitely better than like an ice cream sundae.
Right. Okay. We'll have that too. Anyway, not the Sunday, on Saturday and Friday as well. So anyway,
And again, we do a lot of education. Last thing I didn't mention, Larry, though, but for your listeners, if they are part of a group,
Yeah.
or maybe they're part of Rotary, maybe they're at a Kiwanis Club, maybe they're part of a chapter of AARP,
Right.
we do come and do free presentations to community
Okay.
groups as well. We do a lot of presentations in your local libraries, so check your newsletters. But we're happy to come to a group and talk about overall dementia.
Right.
We're happy to talk about the lifestyle factors.
Yeah.
Folks now might be hearing about some of the different drugs or
Right.
blood biomarker tests. We're more than happy to come and kind of talk about some of those things as well.
Right.
If people have questions, and it's all free.
Right. Interesting. I'm part of a woodworking group,
Mhm.
and I mentioned I'm 67. I'm probably in the younger half of that group. Young people don't want to use tools.
Yeah.
But anyway, that'd be a good group to speak, but I don't think they'd want that. They want to talk about woodworking. That's what they're there for. But you got the right audience.
Yeah.
You got the right audience. But with that's very interesting. You go out to groups too.
Yeah.
So your job is to educate.
Yeah, we do a lot of education, provide a lot of resources to families, and then provide a lot of support. We have about 17 different support groups throughout
Right.
Long Island in the city. We have like another 17 support groups, and they're not all in person. Like they are Zoom, recognizing people are busy.
Right.
People have grandkids. People can't drive to a certain location. Just push the on, boom, they're in the Zoom. And again, the beauty of a support group, I know a lot of people are like, I don't need support, is you get to meet people who are going through the same thing.
Absolutely.
Like I met a gentleman yesterday, his mom is impacted. He's like, I'm so sick and tired of people asking me, like, how's your mom doing? He's like, I just want to be like, she's dying. Like, leave me alone.
Yeah.
He's like, but no, I can't really say that. Like, people will be shocked. I was like, you should join a support group. You could say it in a support group and everyone will laugh and
That's
be
right.
like, I feel the same way. Stop asking me stupid questions.
Right. That's
And then you get to meet like-minded people who also kind of validate, like, you're not feeling crazy. Your feelings are valid. Other people have the same feelings.
right.
And then other people might be a little bit further along in the diagnosis. So then you can kind of pick their brain too and be like, how did you deal with this? Oh my
Yes.
goodness gracious, help me.
Right.
And they're like, hey, okay, this is what you do. This is a little tip and tool for that.
Right.
And you're like, yay. So you learn from other people's wisdom,
Right.
and experience as well.
That's really very good. The support groups are tremendous. I brought up ADHD a few times, but I do that with ADHD. I'm in a couple of groups, and
Yes.
it makes a difference because you realize 'cause I do things that seem crazy,
Correct.
and you're not crazy.
You're not.
And
No.
and I didn't know that until I started joining a group. And
Because you're like a little island unto yourself, right?
Exactly.
You're living in your own head. You have all these thoughts and emotions and
Correct.
feelings, and you're dealing with them yourself. And you're like, nobody feels the way I do,
right.
but someone does.
And I thought I was developing dementia because
Right.
my memory is lousy because the ADHD doesn't let the stuff in, as you and I talked about before we started filming.
Yes.
And so it not only is it educational, but it's emotionally,
Yes.
I don't say the word satisfying
A
or
release.
validating, as you said,
Yeah.
is the right word. And so with that said, okay, you have these support groups, tremendous.
Yeah.
You have educational in
Programs.
your location
In our location and on
and
Zoom.
on Zoom.
Yep.
And what other kind of programs do you
And
have?
then, as I said, the life enrichment program. So we do the
Right.
art therapy, the
Yes.
music therapy, and some of those are in person. Some of them are via Zoom too.
Wow.
And then we go into organizations and we train their professional. We do continuing education credits
That's
for professionals as well, and really educating them about the disease, about the
right.
behaviors, what is new and coming, so that they can really do their jobs well. So they can be good caregivers too. So it's not just family caregivers, it is professional
Right.
caregivers as well.
My mother had, I'd say, the one caregiver for 3 years
Mhm.
and then a series of secondary ones,
Yeah.
because it was a 24-hour
Yes.
thing. So the off day, other days. And she had 'em all different ethnicities or nationalities. And this one was a Russian woman. When you walked in the house, you felt you were in a hospital. Everything was, she cleaned door moldings with like bleach.
Fastidious, huh?
And unbelievable. And she was, I mean, she worked hard.
Yeah.
But I don't think honestly, she didn't fail to take care of my mother. She didn't hand her with the same emotional capacity
Correct.
that Savvy I mentioned before did.
Correct.
With Savvy, she wasn't bleaching the moldings in the kitchen
Correct.
floor. No one used the kitchen, so I'm not sure what you're cleaning it for. But she was much more of a companion to my mother.
Correct.
So a program like yours would have really been very good for her.
Correct.
Because while she was willing to work hard and she took her job very seriously, I don't think she connected in the way that people could learn to connect.
Correct.
So through the program you're talking about. So there's such tremendous benefit to this. So the people come to your place
They
as well.
they
And
can.
where are you located?
We're in East Islip on Carlton Avenue.
Carlton Avenue. Okay.
Yeah.
If you know East Islip, you know Carlton.
Correct, right off of Sunrise Highway.
Okay.
And everything is handicap accessible. We have a beautiful 3,500 square foot
Oh,
facility.
wow.
And as I said, though, we will meet people where they're at. Our support groups are throughout Long Island. I mean, we have
Right.
support group in Southampton, we have support group in Stony Brook, support
Right.
groups in Westbury.
Right.
And then our social worker travels as well. So if you are looking for some guidance and support, you can Zoom with her. You can come to our facility. She'll meet you in your local library.
Right.
So we recognize our caregivers are incredibly busy people, and we don't want to make them travel to East Islip so they can get support and
Right.
resources.
Yes.
Even on the phone, I've talked to 2 families yesterday on the phone, giving them lots of different resources, guidance, information, and support. And to be frank, sometimes people call us once, they get what they need, and we may not hear from them again, and that's A-okay.
Right.
We have other people who take they kind of get engaged with all of our services.
Right.
They're in our support group. They're bringing their loved one to art therapy programs. They're coming to education programs. They're doing it all. I have some people, they call now, their loved one just got a diagnosis, but they're doing okay.
Right.
A few years go down the road, you know how it happens. Sometimes it's like people fell off a cliff.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my goodness, now we need da-da-da-da-da. And we're happy to be like at any part of the journey for a family, wherever they might need us to help. And then we even have bereavement groups, because you've probably seen this in your own life. People become a caregiver, they assume the entire role.
Right.
The cape is on. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And then their loved one or the person they take care of passes away, and it's a little like they don't know who they are anymore.
Right.
And
You're
they
right.
don't,
That was their identity.
correct. And they don't know how to live. They don't know how to build new relationships. They flounder a little. And so we offer bereavement groups, and we even kind of get them to the next step.
Right.
We try to introduce them to like their new best friend.
Right. Right.
Meet other people who have gone through this. They're on the other side, but like now it's back to like, get back to you.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean? Like, get back to your life.
It's like turning from a whole nother career.
Correct. Yes. And again, people, depending on the dementia, if your loved one's impacted by Lewy body dementia, maybe it wasn't as a longer journey. It's 5
Right.
years. But people who take care of someone with Alzheimer's disease and maybe have been doing it
Yes.
15,
Right.
18 years, I mean, your whole identity.
Yes.
And so when their loved one passes away, it's like, what do I do now? Like, who am I? Like, what, And so we really try to guide people in that stage too, help them find like their next new who they want to be.
Right.
Their new
That's-
friends.
That's for it's post.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
Because it's
Post-dementia.
important. We want people to recognize like, you're a caregiver, you were wonderful, you did the hard work, your loved one has passed, and now it's like, get back to you. What were some of your hopes and dreams for life? Because you didn't
Yeah.
wake up and go, I want to be a caregiver.
Right.
you know.
That's interesting. You have the post
Correct.
person needs care.
Of course they do. Yes.
Kind of help.
Yes.
You think they're done. Mom's gone. I don't need to talk to you anymore. But that's just not true.
No, and they need a sense of community. Now they need a new sense of purpose.
Right.
And so, some of our families, they turn to volunteers for us.
Right.
And we turn them into educators, and then they go out and they educate the community, and they have all this lived experience. So then when
Right.
they speak to people, it's
Right.
genuine, you know?
And it's funny because, like my daughter, I mentioned, we have a granddaughter with a very rare neurological disease, 1 in 50,000,
Oh my gosh.
and a disorder, not disease. Disorder. I don't use the wrong word. And my daughter, who's a school teacher, as is my son, as was my wife and my mother-in-law, she wants to start a program dealing with, in some capacity, she's going through a series of different ideas, dealing with people on the spectrum, dealing with kids on the spectrum, because it's changed her life, and it gives you a sense of purpose, a different sense of purpose.
Correct.
While she wanted to be a teacher, she always wanted to be a teacher. This has become much more of a passion.
Of course.
And now you spend 10 years caring for mom. Mom's gone. It's become part of your DNA now.
Correct.
And not to violate science, but it's your
It's who you
emotional
are.
DNA.
Correct.
It's who you are, and you don't just turn off because mom's gone.
Correct.
So where do you redirect that energy? And you join your organization.
Correct.
So,
and we give people the tools and the guidance and even the room.
Right.
Because honestly, when you meet one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia. Like the disease progresses differently in everybody. As you said, one person is happy, life is great.
Right.
Other people get aggressive and agitated.
Right.
And so the disease, and the same thing with caregivers.
Right.
You know, you meet one caregiver, you've met one caregiver. Everybody kind of processes their journey differently.
Right. But this has been a wonderful conversation.
I agree.
Very energetic, very lively, and very, very informative. And I got my best. This is, I don't know, maybe a 45th, 50th, I don't know, podcast. And I've gotten something I've never gotten anywhere else. And my number one bit of advice. So I'm going to take that to heart. Is there anything we forgot to discuss?
How people can get in touch with us.
I was going to get to that. Before I ask that, is there the most important takeaway of today? What would you like that to be?
Is that caregivers aren't alone, and that there are free resources and support to help them, and they don't need to go down a Google web hole to find information. And Long Island, we have a lot of great resources for caregivers, so they should reach out.
And I have one question before we get to how to get hold of you, and that is, how are you funded?
So we get some funding through New York State, the Department of Health, but then donors, family foundations. We have a walk that is coming up on Saturday, June 20th at Marjorie Post Park in Massapequa. If people are interested, they can sign up for the walk, and that's our fundraiser that we do as well.
Okay, very good. I wanted to make sure I got that in. I figured I'd have some fundraisers. I didn't know about that one.
Yes.
Okay, now how do people get hold of you?
So if people are looking to reach out, there are a number of ways. So we have a helpline that you can call. The phone number is 631-580-5100. And again, the helpline number is 631-580-5100. You can go to our website. We have tons of information on the website, and the website is ADRC.org. You can find my contact information on there, our social workers information. There are many articles and resources. And then feel free to send us an email as well. If you'd like to have a care consultation, you're interested in education or training, check out the calendar of events. There's tons of things there as well that you can do with your family. And as I indicated, everything is free.
That's my next question. You read my mind. Do people pay for any of these things?
No.
The answer is no. Okay.
No.
Very good. I got to tell you, Lauren, it was a real pleasure having you. I thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. If you've enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you are going through. So if you are considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out to see how we can help. When working with us, you can sell your home in its current condition, there is no need to remove unwanted items, and you control when the house is sold, along with so many other advantages. Visit leavethekey.com or call us at 631-388-7771 to learn more about our senior home buying process.